Hi, this is Tony, and we're back on the bench. And this evening, we're going to be getting into doing a disassembly service here on another Shakespeare model. So this is the Shakespeare Cirrus ball bearing reel, model CR025. Okay, so this is an ultralight reel. It's in relatively good shape, but we're gonna go through all the take apart steps, and I'll do a separate video on the reassembly, and we'll get this reel ready to get back out and do some fishing. But you know, it looks like it's rated up to 85 yards of 8-pound test, and it's got a 4.9-to-1 gear ratio. So you know, this is a nice little reel, you know, for ponds or stream fishing, things of that sort. But we're going to get into it here, and we're going to see what this reel's about. So you know, Shakespeare, for many years, you know, they've made a whole slew of all different various models of reels that look similar to this, but they've put different names on them and different features and whatnot. So I always like having a couple of extra ultralight reels in the bag, just because you never know what you're going to run into, you know, when you're using ultralight gear, especially because, you know, they're such small reels. And you know, if you're fishing in the mountains or the streams or something like that, it's always good to have some extras for sure. So we got a drag stack in there. We're going to get into that in the reassembly video, I think. All right, but it looks like we got a protective cap down here that we want to take out. Big gold one. Yeah, I'm not sure. This could just be a single ball bearing reel. It just says ball bearing. It doesn't say how many, so I'm assuming it's probably just one. Looks like we've got 3 screws in these positions. There's a little bit of rust damage on a couple of these screws, I'm noticing, so we're going to want to clean those off real well with some penetrating fluid and whatnot. But I've been working on a lot of spinning reels lately, doing lots and lots of videos on these, and I like to do separate videos a lot these days on just dividing up the disassembly and the reassembly, because some of the reels I work on, you know, frankly, they just take a long time to clean, and there's just lots and lots of cleaning work, and sometimes there's pieces and parts missing and things like that. And so this particular reel I don't think has any problem other than it's due for some maintenance, and so that's what this video is about. But you know, if you have this reel, or if you're thinking of getting this reel and you want to know how to work on it or see what it's about and see what its features are, you know, you can watch this video and learn a little bit about it. That's what these videos are about. Okay, so we have access to the inside here. So there's a washer that rests on top of that bushing right there. And I'm just going to slowly clean off these pieces and parts here as we go, I think. I just want to make sure I don't lose those pieces per se. Okay, so we've got a main gear here, which looks like it's not going to come out until we... Sometimes what you have to do is you have to turn the gear and get access to this screw down here in order to take your axle shaft out, and that's what we're going to do now. Let's get that out so we can get our main gear out. But a lot of these spinning reels actually work very similar sometimes. You know, I would say that this is kind of a beginner's reel, so to speak, you know, for maybe a youngster that's learning how to fish, just based off of, you know, its design and its features. And sometimes a simple design is a good design, right? You know, it doesn't always have to be complicated to catch fish. It shouldn't be complicated to catch fish. Okay, so I'm just going to see what's involved here. Taking out this gear. Okay, there we go. So we got our main gear there. It's pretty dry, but it's clean, so that's good. Okay, and then we've got our cross wind block here. It's kind of bouncing around there at the bottom. Take that piece out. We're going to clean off all these pieces and parts here with some penetrating fluid soon. Cross wind gear. Okay, so that's the bulk of the inside of the reel. Outside of the pinion gear right there, there's not much more to it. We've got a set screw here that needs to come out, like so. And this is probably where we're going to find our main ball bearing underneath, I would imagine. I'm not quite sure what size screw that is, but we'll find out in a moment. Yeah, so that's a 7/16 it looks like. So you can use a 7/16 nut driver on that if you got one, or a socket. And you could probably even get a small wrench in there, like an open-end wrench, but I think sockets or nut drivers are probably the easy way to go. Okay, we should be able to pull this rotor off now. It's being a little stiff for some reason. There we go. Okay, so that's your rotor. Real simple. And we're gonna clean that up real good in the reassembly video. So, you know, these are the remainder of the pieces right here, essentially. Okay, and you want to make note of the orientation of all these pieces and parts, okay? And you certainly don't want to misplace them or lose them or anything. I recommend getting the schematic if you're not familiar with the reel and you're doing this work, okay? You want to make sure that these things come off properly and they go back properly. Okay, so now we have access to our main bearing. Now, if you're working on this reel, you could in fact just spray some penetrating oil in there and put a little bit of reel oil on those bearings and call it a day. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take all this out completely, mainly because I want to clean up my pinion gear. It's a little difficult to see on camera, but it's resting right there. So we've got 2 screws that are going to come out. But you'll find that it really does pay off to do all this cleaning work and all the maintenance that's involved. So I highly recommend that you take the time to do it, on any fishing reel for that matter. Okay, so we've got a ring. And now we have access to both our ball bearing and also to our pinion gear. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these out. Okay, but the whole rest of this basically is just cleaning work here, basically. So, you know, you can take a Q-tip to these surfaces here and clean off all this old residual oil and grease. You know, it's actually quite a dry reel. There's really not a lot in there. So that's fine, but it makes easy for the cleaning per se. Clean up all those areas and surfaces the best that you can. Okay. And then at this point, all we're going to do, we're going to put these pieces and parts in here, essentially, and we're going to hose it down with some multi-purpose lube. This stuff happens to be Inox MX3 from Australia, and it's you know, it seems to do the job. But you know, WD-40 is a staple of mine. I use it all the time. CRC Power Lube is good. Things like that. I want to hose these screws down here too. Okay, and these pieces and parts here, like so. Okay, so we're going to let that sink in, and when we come back, like I said, there'll be a separate video of just the reassembly of this reel, and we'll go through all the lube points and some more of the cleaning and whatnot, and we'll do that separately in that video. So thanks again for watching. This is Tony with Back on the Bench. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe and make sure you hit that notification button. And we'll see you next time.